Starfleet Underground. Every week, we'll take a look at the latest Star Trek news and then check out a current or classic episode of Star Trek. Coming up this week, you'll be surprised on where Riker maneuvers. Where did Worf get those strange ideas about women? Don't let it be a space Karen. And we watched the Next Generation episode, The Outcast, in honor of LGBTQ Pride. All that and more on Starfleet Underground.
Hey, good day everyone, and welcome back to Starfleet Underground. If you don't know me by now, you well should. My name is Nathan. I'm captain of this vessel. I just want to say ahead of time that I had the scanners triple check my coffee, so no other foreign matter is in there.
Watch out for your toast.
Should be good. Wait, something happened to the toast?
Just be careful.
And your scrambled eggs.
What the hell? All right. Wow,
she was messing with the replicators. I swear I caught her the other night, and I'm like, what are you doing? She says, oh, I'm having trouble getting a milk. And I know she doesn't drink milk.
The Tribbles were helping me. Everything was fine.
The Tribbles were helping. Blame it on the Tribbles, sure.
Oh, no. Okay.
Just be careful, man.
People to introduce themselves. We got Heather and computer, check food for me. Scan this Heather. Introduce yourself, Heather.
Hi, I'm Heather. I'm the science officer, and believe me, you would know if I cooked your food because it would be burnt, and the kitchen would be on fire, and you would know if I cooked your food.
What century are you in, or why aren't you using a replicator?
Is that what I need to do?
Yeah.
She's burnt out several replicators. You've burnt out a replicator or two. I know exactly. Yeah. She goes off program and they overheat.
Kitchens are old school, man.
I'm trying to cook.
Kitchens are old school unless you're Neelix.
Well, Neelix was trying to teach me how to cook a while ago, and that's how the kitchen went on fire. Which, by the way, Captain, we sort of need fire extinguisher or something.
Oh, we're out again? Okay.
Just open a window for a few seconds, and that'll take care of it.
Yeah. Open a window on the port side. That'll take care of it. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, my God. And speaking about opening windows, we have Patrick.
Yo. Hello, everyone. Number one here. Checking in. Doing good. Excited for this episode.
And then we also have Rocky.
Good, whatever time of the day it is now. It appears to be starry out the window.
Oh, what the hell? Did my eggs just move?
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Or is that a trick of the light?
I told you.
It's probably just a deck vibration.
Look out, the eggs are looking at you. They got
a dick
eyes.
vibration? What?
Oh, my God. All right. First off, as we get... I swear, it looks like they're moving.
You didn't introduce Rocky.
I thought I did. I did introduce Rocky. Rocky.
Yes, I'm still here.
Introduce yourself.
Operating as engineer on this crazy little ship in the middle of the Delta Quadrant on our way back. We ran out of WD-40, and I know WD-40 is not something you typically put on a starship, you would think. Well, we don't use it on the warp drive, but we move ventilation fans and stuff, so we have things that actually spin, so we need WD-40. We ran out, right, because we're in the Delta Quadrant. I got some other lube from this planet, that Amazon planet, and it's not WD-40. It smells a little different, but it seems to be working just fine.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that advertisement. It was like WD-80 because we're twice as better than the WD-40.
It kind of has a candy smell to it. It's a different lubrication than I'm used to.
Bum, 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 bum.
Today's show is brought to you by not only our listeners out there, but by Section 31. Again, they sponsor us. We really don't understand or know exactly why, but hey, as long as they keep the Gold Press Latinum coming in, we're good to go. Any corrections from last week?
I didn't get no email, so
good.
I think we're good on that end.
We have no correction.
Surprisingly, we didn't get any advertisements for probes.
No, that's something we need to talk about for this episode.
Well, I almost got probed.
However, I heard someone was getting a lot of advertisement for large unicorns.
I keep getting advertisements on Facebook for unicorns. I still don't know why. I never specifically asked for a unicorn, I don't think. But they seem to be coming my direction.
Ever since that one period of time, you've been getting nothing but unicorns.
It's weird. I don't understand it. It's okay. I have no complaints.
There's one that I think you told me that she got was Tiny Tim in a loincloth playing Tiptoe Through the Tulips on the back of a unicorn in a field of flowers. As a lithograph.
If he's tiptoeing through the tulips, those are flowers.
So as a lithograph. But we're going to jump into news of the week. We have any news this week in this world of Star Trek? Anybody's got anything?
I do have some news. So STLV has a few updates, the Star Trek Las Vegas convention. They are still waiting to confirm Kate Mulgrew for the December 19th through 13th dates. They haven't confirmed her yet. They don't know if she's going to be there, fingers crossed. So we are still waiting for that. Tickets are now on sale. So if you want to buy your ticket, general admission is $330. Copper is $439, and gold is $1,299. If you plan on staying at Caesars while you're there, use the code SHTRE0 to get the convention rate for your room. SHTRE0.
That's not Caesars.
Caesars.
Because Caesars is across, like, way far away, isn't it?
I thought we were no, because they're doing this at the Caesars.
It's at the Forum, which is the new place.
I'm confused.
Yeah. Well, you're the one that lives over there.
Yeah,
I'm only going by what I see on Facebook. It's not. It's what's the next to the link? It's with an H.
Oh, are you talking about Harris?
Harris, that's it. Yeah. So everyone's saying Harris is the hotel to stay at officially.
Oh, well, that's just because they're cheaper.
Oh.
I mean, it's still Caesar's property, but I mean, you can
it's
stay
owned
wherever
by
you
Caesars.
Want.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Now, if you're staying at Caesars directly, that's where you could use the code SHTRE0 to get the convention rate for your room.
Okay.
And if you're staying at Harris, they have a monorail, and it's literally like 1 or 2 stops up from the monorail to get to the convention center.
Well, from what I understand, they actually have a sky bridge that goes right to the place.
It's even better.
It's still a lot of walking, so bring your walking shoes.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's going to be lots of walking.
Well,
we don't have any transporters in Vegas for some reason.
The daily rates for the hotel are like for Sunday night and the weeknights are $85 and $139 for Friday and Saturday with a $37 resort fee. So daily.
And also, too, if STLV gets canceled, fans will get a refund. However, if the event goes on as scheduled in December and you do not go, you decide not to go, you will not get a refund for that. And they specifically put that out there.
Of course.
Yeah, so as of now, they've only got 67 celebrities confirmed for the new date. And, guess who's going to be there? First-time guest. Hello, Kelsey Grammer.
Cool.
Wow, that's a surprise.
In fact, he was on the episode after the one that we're discussing today, the Outcast. It was, I can't remember the name of it, but he appeared. They were caught in some kind of temporal causality, and his ship had been in there for 100 years, and he was the captain of some starship that had been caught in the temporal loop.
I remember that one. Next, we're going to be talking about the show, The Outcast. Does everyone see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Woo-hoo.
That was our homework assignment. The Outcast, that was season 5, episode 17. It's about while aiding an androgynous race. That's androgynous race who lost a couple of members in an unwrapped region of space. Riker winds up falling for one of them, and which possibly could lead to trouble if it was detected, since that race does not endorse gender specifically. So they don't believe in anyone having a gender. That episode was directed by Robert Shearner, and person who helped write that actually was Gene Roddenberry, which was pretty cool. It was created by Jerry Taylor, and it starred our normal full cast and crew. So what did you guys think of the episode?
Well, first we should say that the reason we're discussing this episode is because it is Gay Pride Month. Also for the fact that on the 16th of June, the Supreme Court extended workplace protection and rights to the LGBTQ community, which was based off the 1964 Civil Rights Act. So according to the ruling, it was a 6-3 ruling, LGBTQ people are now protected from workplace discrimination. And prior to the ruling, it was legal in more than half of the states in the U.S. to be fired for being LGBTQ.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That we don't have to have a law enacted to do this. It's so embarrassing that we need one.
Something more embarrassing than that wasn't Roberts, the Chief Justice Roberts, didn't he say the only reason why it didn't pass was because of a technicality, because they didn't do the proper process? And then I heard something about Trump getting the papers in order so that way they can do the proper process, so that way they could go through it like by other means. And so they're still trying to fight it. Well,
Trump wanted the Supreme Court to just drop the case altogether. And, he's doing everything he can to erase LGBTQ rights and protections from our Constitution, from our laws. So this was a big slap in the face, especially since the last couple justices on the Supreme Court were appointed by him. And it was Neil Gorsuch, who was his first appointee, who led the opinion on this case in the approval. So it was a big slap in the face.
Trump is doing everything he can to dismantle the American system, period.
Well, you have people who, and hopefully we have a lot of our Star Trek fans who understand just what IDIC stands for, what it means. And it shows that even you have a ship, or actually the space station on DS9, where you had a race of people who basically worshiped a hole in space. And no one ever made fun of them for doing that. No one ever said that your gods are BS. They all came together. The Klingons respected them, even though they believed with Kalis. You had different races together that lived in harmony. Nobody tried to make the Ferengi not be so in love with Go Press Latinum, even though the Federation doesn't have currency. So it shows that all different people can get along as long as they respect one another. It doesn't matter. Look at a Trill. A Trill goes through its life being male or female, and it still loves regardless. Mm-hmm. So nobody
especially
turns
on
around.
This ship.
No,
with all
the Tribbles. And so we respect life in that respect. And that's what this show really dealt about with the Outcast. It really dived into that and gives a mindset. And it had a lot of hidden messages, I believe, which we'll talk about on the show. So we can dive right into it. And thank you for that background there, Patrick, and letting people know why this show was so important in order to get people to try to understand why this is a thing now.
Well, as the openly LGBTQ person on the ship, the episode is really important in that it specifically and perfectly describes what it's like to grow up as an LGBTQ person and having to hide and be fearful that if you're exposed, that you'll either be one, ridiculed, one, punished, killed, or subjected to conversion therapy. I mean, the episode so encapsulates the entire experience. At least for me, it did. So anyway, let's get into it.
Oh, well, first, we have a mystery. You see everybody on the bridge because they had a probe that disappeared when they shot off the probe. And I personally thought if the probe had tentacles, it could have kept it from
that probe. It always starts with somebody losing a probe somewhere. You got to keep your eye on the probe.
I was like, really? If they had only had tentacles, it wouldn't have disappeared in the hole in space.
They didn't have anything to pull it out.
It didn't disappear in the
null pocket of space. Not a hole per se, but a null pocket in space. But, even if you got a deep pocket, you lose a probe in there. My goodness.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever played the game South Park, the video game? There's this one level where you go tiny, and I swear to God, in the video game, you go tiny, and you have to go up Mr. Slave's ass, and he has all this stuff up there and everything, and it's a whole level. And
that's where Living Winks went.
I love that game. I love that game so much.
Is that where that little Mr. Pooh thing? I never watched South Park very much, but I know about the Mr. Pooh and the leather guy.
Mr. Pooh was on the video game too. He was a Christmassy Mr. Pooh, but it didn't come from Mr. Slave's ass. So Mr. Pooh is different from Mr.
Mr. Pooh is
Slave.
Separate, yeah. Now, Mr. Hanky, I believe they called him. Yeah.
Mr. Hanky. That's a different character. Anyway.
Oh, it's a different one. Oh my God. So I didn't play the game, so I need to play the game.
When it got sucked into that hole, I thought it was a black hole.
Yeah,
why is it going to be black?
They didn't know what it was. Now, here's a little bit of a thing for you, and I wonder if you caught it, Patrick. Do you remember the name of the shuttlecraft that they were getting onto? The shuttlecraft had a name on it, as all the shuttlecrafts did. And I thought it was kind of...
I saw the name, but I forgot it.
It was Magellan.
Magellan, that's what it was.
Which Magellan is explorer. And the whole episode, I think, was about exploring sexuality.
Gotcha.
So I thought if they didn't put it in intentionally, that was a happy accident.
Yeah. No, that had to be intentional. I'm sure that was intentional. That makes sense.
Well, especially they're trying to map out an uncharted part of space. I mean, that's,
Yeah. So it was a combination.
So in a double meeting, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And throughout the whole episode, they're really trying to get this whole relationship going because, first of all, you fall in love with a person in one episode. That's a little fast. I'm just saying. Maybe
Riker's
you should go talk to a therapist.
Riker's pretty quick.
I went to Memory Alpha and I was looking up Riker, the list of relationships he had. Okay. I mean, I was scrolling through it. I'm like, oh my God, Deanna Troi, I'm sorry.
That's the only thing about this. That's the one thing about this episode. I love this episode. I love the writing in this episode. I caught up in the relationships, the romance of this episode. I actually was sat for it. But the one thing is Riker really going to go this quick for this person that he barely knows this hard and this fast? I'm a little surprised by that. I think Riker would be a little bit more tame in this kind of thing.
He was whipped.
I guess so.
Well, when we first start the episode, the very opening scene is Riker showing Soren something on the screen, and I'm like, oh look, they're bonding over cat videos.
It's possible. I think the standout part for me in this episode really is it shows how intelligence is attractive. He wasn't initially like attracted to her by how the looks were, but it was the intelligence, the conversation, that's what's important.
Yeah, I dug that too.
They got familiar with the controls really well.
Well, they both are. Everybody likes to pilot the shuttlecraft. You notice that? That's the first thing. Like, I'm going to fly. No, I'm going to fly. No, we're both good at flying this. This is going to be great. If you got two pilots that are working together, magical things can happen. As opposed to last episode, we saw a couple pilots in the shuttlecraft reaching for the button in the wrong way at the same time. That was kind of tension. This time, it's not tension. It's working together.
Indeed. But there was ulterior motives on Soren's part.
Perhaps.
She wanted to get some Riker.
Well, it's like, he's like, oh my God, you press buttons really well. Wonder what other buttons you can press.
She was waiting for the Riker maneuver.
And then they're on that away mission and just out of the blue. I mean, like the flirting that's happening so far and the looks that he's given Soren so far. And then out of the blue, Soren's like, oh, can you tell me about your sexual organs? And the look Riker gives Soren is like, hello, boundaries, bitch. Come on.
Like, he wasn't expecting that. It's like, damn, girl, you move fast.
Yeah. And they're only 12 minutes into the episode.
And she wanted to hear him tell about it, but it's obviously more interesting to show than tell. And Riker's like, I'm going to show you.
Right. The look that he gets on his face, it's like, boing. Well, sex is fun. Here we go.
The really good question that he asked, which everybody should pause for a second. And when she's like, what makes a male? Is it more than just physical? Is it feeling? And he's like, well, species wise, men get dangly parts and women don't.
Simpsons tails and puppy dog tails.
Yeah, it's very interesting because we wanted to find one side versus the other side. I found that interesting. I think universally, it doesn't matter who or what you are. If you love someone, you're in love with someone. It just happens. It doesn't matter what gender they are.
Yeah. And it talked about the complexity of relationships.
Yeah. And he wanted someone who could laugh at his jokes. And then as soon as he said that, she laughed at the joke.
Well, and one of the things Soren said to Noor when she was on trial in the later part of the episode is, what makes you think you can dictate how people love each other?
It's such a powerful line, that whole scene, the entire thing is written so darn well. I was always shocked at how good it was. When I saw it, I was like, this is a good episode. This is a really good episode. And and that scene right there was so big. And that line right there is so universal.
And when Noor says that Soren is sick and that sick people want to get well and that they appreciate that we fix them, my brain almost wanted to explode. I'm like, it's like, that's my whole life. I've heard that, that I'm sick, that I'm, I need to get well, or that I need to change,
or worse, say that you're a pervert or a deviant, and you're like,
exactly.
So it's like, no, hold on a second.
Yeah, I was born, like Soren said, I was born this way. I've always known that this is who I was. It wasn't something I tried to date women. I've been with women, but emotionally, there's no connection for me when it comes to the female gender. It just doesn't happen. I don't look at a woman and say, oh, I want to do her. I can look at a woman and say, oh, well, she's really pretty, but there's nothing else beyond that. And that Soren is saying, this is how I am. This is how I've always been. I know this is how I feel. And you can't, and who are you to tell me that what I feel and who I am is wrong and that I'm a deviant? It's so powerful.
Yeah, and also it showed, and the speech that she gave was about the complexity of a relationship. It doesn't matter if you identify as male, female, or gender fluid. You still have the same relationship, hopes, desires, dreams, laugh, cry, want to talk about the work and everything else. Yes. So that's what it comes down to.
She says it. She says, we do everything that we do, you do.
Exactly.
There's no difference between how we love each other, how we interact with each other. We just happen to be, of a different sex. Where it's
love is universal. It has nothing to do with your gender. Love is love,
Yeah.
Do you think all of this, it's just people trying to control other people, which is what's been happening basically since the dawn of time, is one group of people just trying to control another group of people?
Oh, yeah, it is. You notice that one scene where they're about to go into the garden and there's a very nosy observer at the end of that little scene standing in the doorway.
Karen.
And I'm like, it's a Karen. Karen, is that you? This is what I wrote in my notes. Karen, hello.
Yep.
Get your nose out of somebody else's business. I mean, mind your own. Yeah, it is about some control, right?
That was Krite who was in the doorway there.
Yeah. You can call that person Karen for as far as I'm concerned, right?
Well, it is. It is completely about people controlling each other, because Noor even says we have a success rate of curing these deviants, and they're very appreciative that we care enough to fix them because they're sick.
That was the scariest part.
Yeah, well, we're helping them. I mean, we think we're doing some good here. Well, that's kind of thing that you get pushed on. It's like you get that from religious attitudes sometimes too. It's like, oh no, we're making the world better. And like, well, hold on, you make the world better, but get out of my business.
Yeah, they're not making the world better.
You're trying to make the world in the image that you want, not how it actually is.
You're not helping everybody.
Yeah,
not
instead
with what
of
they
being
want.
accepting.
It's about
they're
what
always
you want.
Preaching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. They're always preaching about being accepting, and they're not accepting.
And that's what Noor says. All we require is your acceptance and your understanding and your empathy. There's nothing wrong with us. We're not sick.
Yeah. And like I said, it was a horror movie, basically, at the very end of it, when Soren comes out and she had already done the reconversion therapy and she had changed. And it was like, oh, that's freaky. That's scary.
When Riker says, I love you, and she says, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was like...
I mean, it's like, it almost broke my heart.
How many times has those two phrases come together in these kinds of stories?
Yeah.
I love you. I'm sorry. It hurts so much. It's like, oh, man.
That's more like real life than some of the movies show.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you could see it in Riker's face at the very last scene where he was in his chair.
Oh, yeah. That was the frustration and sadness. Oh,
yeah,
man.
you could see it in his eyes.
No, I was going to say, Picard asked him, is our finish with the Janai finished? And he said, yes, it's finished.
And the one thing I think everyone can take a clue for is that when Riker was finding out about their race and how they do things, and the old conversation going back and forth, there was openness without being insulted by the questions.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what's important. A lot of people need to have an open mind when they ask. This is like if you ask something like, hey, do gay people have an extra toe? And rather than get mad about it, it says, no, that's not true.
Well, no, it actually is, but, we just keep it a secret.
Whoa.
It's that little thing that's there, But they also, if you notice, touched on some other misconceptions on the show about women being weaker or inferior.
Oh. Don't even get me started on that. I was mad.
Hello, Worf and his prehistoric gender ideals. I mean,
it felt like old school even today by those questions. It felt a little bit, wow, this is a different time now when this episode aired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it's just so normal.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it's like, for me, it's like, that's normal. Like, I would have that all the freaking time, Like, I'm not supposed to do this and I'm not supposed to do that. And women are supposed to be quiet and they're supposed to be submissive. Have you fucking seen me? I'm not fucking quiet. And I'm not fucking submissive. Like, hello.
But George. Women are weak and inferior.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. You know what though? Worf has had the biggest change in this episode because he was, that was kind of insulting. It's like Worf doesn't say stuff like this. This is a woman's game. What the hell are you saying? Worf would never talk like that. That really felt so unnatural. But he came around and he understands honor. He's all about having back for his friends, and he was ready to, that was career jeopardizing the shit they did to beam down and maybe steal away this person. Worf had Riker's back so hard.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, go Worf.
Yeah, because a warrior does not let his friends face danger alone. That right there was a really good line. Did you notice also one of the other throwback things is how Riker was man-spreading when he sat down in the garden?
Doesn't he always?
Dude, I mean, that was Superman spread.
It was the Riker maneuver without the chair.
Seriously.
Oh my God.
I was watching because I'm still on my rewatch. I'm in the last season, guys, but I saw an episode where it's a two-parter where Riker and the captain are pretending to be archaeologists, renegades, and they're not pretending to know each other. Anyway, Riker's on this ship with that ship's captain, and they're having a conversation, and it's in their lounge, and these chairs were like warped out of shape. Like literally, this chair, you see it in real life, it's a straight looking chair. No, they warped the chair back and out of shape. Riker's laid out on this chair like is like a supermodel. Like what the hell's going on with Riker and laying out, man?
Well, he has it.
He does it.
So, and then there was I thought was a little Easter egg for Picard. It was in there because remember when he was out by the garden and he says it was a very beautiful garden, and he says he was raised outdoors and he loves to be outdoors. And there he is in Picard, outdoors with a little rustic cabin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where him and Troy was at. So yeah, it was really.
I was saying one of the most powerful scenes though was when Soren actually came out to Riker and tells him that she finds him attractive. That moment of revealing yourself to someone, the fear of rejection there, the fear of exile or who knows, even being, threatened or beaten up. That moment is such a pivotal moment in an LGBT person's life that I thought it was really well done. What'd you guys think?
Now I can't make my joke. I was going to make my joke about the lighting under the Shuttlecraft console being like super romantic for no good reason. It was. I mean, come on. You want to come down and help me out with the Shuttlecraft? But you took it to the next level right there.
Here, let me put my probe in here and you put your probe in there and we'll
make connections.
Yeah.
That one part where he's like, can you activate the thrust? Release the plasma flow. I'm just laughing my ass off.
All I'm saying is she wanted to check out that port nacelle really, really, really importantly.
I was expecting Rod Stewart to come on the overhead. Sit back, my virgin child. Okay, I'm the only one that remembers that song. Alrighty then.
Rod Stewart. I remember Rod Stewart. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
sorry.
Oh, okay. I will be in my cabin the rest of the day because, yeah. Apparently that's where old people go. So
it's okay, Captain. I'll stop by with some new, younger music to, introduce you to.
Thank you very much.
And it's not Baby Yoda.
No, it's not Baby Yoda. But if you guys walk by the captain's quarters and we're jamming, feel free to come in and party with us.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna be teaching him the old 2000s techno.
Cool.
What's that? Techno manuals?
Cool. Yes, Techno.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Okay. But the thing is, like what Pat brought up earlier, is that this whole thing about, I think when they talk about the shock conversion,
the psychotectic therapy,
the psychotech thing that they're doing, which they feel, I think a lot of times that those quote unquote conversion therapies don't really work. They just decide to, I'm going to go along with it because this is easier than the alternative. So I'm just going to say, yeah, it worked.
Well, anyone who's been through one of those conversion therapies could tell you it's basically like traumatizing torture. They basically traumatize you all over again.
I didn't realize that's actually a thing. I thought that was just like a threat of a thing.
No, they actually do.
Oh, that's disturbing.
Well, and there was some guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was the head of some church or whatever, and they did conversion therapy. And for years he did this to people and then came out as gay himself, like, 30 years later. Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry, but I have no sympathy for you at that point because you've ruined or tried to ruin, so many people's lives by trying to make them something that they're not and trying to fix something that isn't broken. Exactly. And then you want us to, have sympathy for your plight. Well, tough shit. Sorry about that, bud.
It's all too twisted for me. I like my twists and my donuts. I don't like them in this sort of thing.
Yeah.
If there's people out there and they're straight, it's like, imagine being born the way you are, and you can't help it. And according to the world, that's not correct. Everyone's gay. Everyone has to be kissing the other gender. Imagine having to be told that you're not right and there's something wrong with you. And, we're going to fix you and force you to do something that you don't like is you have to live by our way. That's torture. That's horrible. That's just disgusting.
Yeah. Well, it's like I actually got I got into it with someone very close to me the other day, and because they were doing all this white supremacy crap. And I was like, you have no idea what it's like for, LGBTQ people, black and brown people to live every day in fear that they're going to be killed because of who they are.
Yeah. There's
a constant fear. And I mean, I don't live so much in that anymore in my life, but when I was younger, it was always there in the back of my mind that, and especially if you go to different countries, I mean, they will throw you off roofs. They will stone you to death. They will hang you.
The shit we're seeing today in America with black people, it's scary. I mean, walking down the street could get you killed. That's scary that anyone has to go through that.
Yeah.
The whole situation is people need to be understanding and loving and not to be so quick to put on a label. People will seek to identify you and put you in a category so they can form an opinion. And if they can't put you in the category to form an opinion, they don't know how to take you. So you can have a woman, let's say, who is not, let's say, gay, but she likes to dress in jeans and a T-shirt and wear sneakers all the time, and wear short hair, and people will look at her and go, she's right. And she is not one. She just happens to love those type of clothes.
I thought she's just a Motley Crue fan. I'm sorry.
That too,
Have you guys seen my old pictures?
You used to wear the short hair.
You just described me.
Yeah.
Well, there are people that march to their own drum, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay. It's called uniqueness.
There you go.
There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to seek to identify what they are and put them in a category. You need to identify with them. That's all it is. Empathy.
That's one of the things that has me hopeful about the protests and the rallies that have been going on is that we're actually moving towards the vision that Roddenberry had for us. I definitely think there's going to be some huge major change because of the issues that are happening in our world now. And it's moving us closer to that IDIC vision of the world. At least that's my opinion.
It is. And I think it's slow coming, and it's about time on that, because every once in a while there's a violent shudder as the new generation starts to see these things and take hold and move forward, where it's not in the dark anymore. Because like we talked about before, I remember even watching like Frasier, and they didn't have any gay people on Frasier. If I remember, just Niles was.
They didn't have any black people on Frasier.
Nope, they didn't. And then now you turn around and look at the crew Discovery, which is literally a rainbow coalition of different people and different walks of life on there. So, and before that wouldn't have been accepted as much. And even when this show came out, The Outcast, with Jonathan Frakes, wanted the person to decide to be male and for Riker to still be in love. But they said, no, we can't push it that far. So they didn't do it. But
that would have been nice if it was a male. And
that's what he wanted to do. He said it cool. He said that in interviews. So, but then they tried again with what was the other episode they mentioned? Oh, it was a different genre. Was the Orville? The Orville actually touched on this too when they had Botleth, where they're supposed to be a race of males, and you come to find out that if someone has a female, they operate on them and they change them to be male.
Yeah.
And they had a whole
good episode.
It was, and they had a whole planet where people decided they wanted to stay as a woman, as a female. So, yeah, this is definitely something that's beginning to change. As Lady Gaga says, you're born this way,
Yep.
So,
I mean, if it was a phase, I would have been straight years ago.
But if you notice, it shows you right there that androgynous people or people who has both genders in them really know how to put it on somebody, because she got Riker twisted. Riker was like, oh my God, you were born this way? I never came this way. So I'm in love. He was willing to throw his whole career away.
Yeah, he was going all in.
They had a lot of sexy time scenes. I mean, most of my notes that I have on this one episode is sexy time. Oh, look, sexy time. Like the flirting that was going on.
Yeah. And again, you had, as Rocky said, you had Karen. Anytime they start getting it close, you all of a sudden you saw that little disapproving stare from in the corner somewhere. It's like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's people like that just need to mind their own freaking business. They just, I wanted to smack Crate. I just wanted to reach through the TV and smack Crate.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always somebody that's friggin', what's up with that?
Well, my opinion, it's the same as the people on Earth. It's the same as the religious people that are so uppity in everyone else's business. I think that they do not like their own lives and they don't like themselves, so they have to distract themselves with everyone else's business.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, clean up your own house first before you start trying to go into someone else's house and rearrange the furniture.
Mm-hmm. Well, if they control other people, they could feel better about themselves and their own shitty life.
Yeah, pretty much, and that person themselves might have felt that way too. As Patrick had mentioned earlier about the guy who was doing all these conversions and it turned out that he was gay himself. A lot of people, they say psychologically hate in others the most of what they wish they had in themselves.
Yep.
So that's a really good possibility right there. And the reason why so many people are afraid are like that. I mean, how many times have we heard in Earth's history about senators that went up against gay people, but yet they find them in bathrooms tapping on stalls and try to get a hookup?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, scientifically, I don't know this for 100% fact, but I believe that the most homophobic men are actually themselves homosexual. They are just so afraid of admitting it that they do everything they can to put gays down and bash them. So, right. I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, those people are actually gay themselves.
Yeah.
And myself growing up as a person of color, black, however you want to say it, because
you're black.
I know, right? Imagine that.
Oh my God!
Because of
I need a ship reassignment. I need a ship reassignment, please.
Not a Delta Quadrant.
Actually,
you stuck now, baby.
If you couldn't tell by now, you need more than a ship reassignment. You need your vision checked. That's for certain. But growing up in that environment made me see how ugly it is and how it feels to be ostracized by people, made me to be accepting of everyone. So I don't care if, like I said, if you're purple with yellow dots, I'm not going to treat you any different than anybody else, because we're all basically the same. If you get a Labrador, anybody loves dogs, right? How many different colors are there for Labradors? Yeah. You have black Labradors, tan, white. They're the same friggin' breed of dog. They just happen to come in different colors. And that's the same with us. We all are the same breed. You don't turn around if your dog decides to hump another male dog because that's what they do. Oh my God, a gay dog. Jesus, what the hell? That's the way it is. It's just...
homosexuality exists in 99% of the animal population.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's not a problem for them. It's only a problem for us.
Nope. They found that male dolphins are the same. They found that there's things with the chimpanzees. They found these birds where scientists was freaking out. Why is there a nest but never any eggs? And they set up cameras and stuff, and they found out, it's like, oh, it's a gay couple. They're mating together, and every once in a while they'll go and take an egg from someone else in order to have children.
Penguins, they've got penguins who are mated, and they're both males, and they, I mean, it's completely a natural phenomenon. It's not,
No.
Now, if you're having sex with like a horse, that's something different. Like interspecies.
That's a horse of a different color.
Yeah, that's cross species. Seriously.
But then you have interspecies in Star Trek because you have Kirk screwing aliens. So it's like, well, that was okay.
Yeah, I mean, the horses of a different color, that's a whole nother episode.
But if you got a person sitting there and the cat goes, meow, and you go, oh, baby, don't talk dirty. You need help.
God.
Well, throughout history, gay people have been the shamans, the healers,
yes.
I mean, you look at the Native American culture and they're considered
two spirits.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they were always the shamans, the healers, the wise elders, because they were revered because they could understand both sides of the coin. Yep. You know, and it's only the Anglo-Saxons who just come in and decide, oh, well, that can be right. You know, you have to have a man and a woman. Well, no, you don't.
Yeah, but everybody needs to be at least one aspect of the Klingon race. And that is that a warrior does not let a friend face danger alone. When you see that there is some sort of prejudice going on, regardless if it's towards species, if it's towards, sexual orientation
or gender
or anything, we should not let anybody stand alone in their fight.
Nope.
You really shouldn't. We have to stand up. And that's what people are doing now. And I understand that people are getting tired on protesting, but you can't. Because as soon as you slow down, right, they'll give you a flower and say, see, we made it prettier. Now go away. Mm-hmm. And you can't let it go away. We still have to be out there for gay rights. We still have to be out there to get rid of racism. And we have people that turn around and say, like, well, I can't believe that you guys are all upset about police killing black people. They kill a lot of white people, too. And it's like, really? And you're okay with that?
Well, and the fact that it may be true that the more white people are killed by police, but there are more white people than black people, and so by percentage,
I agree. But
the majority.
It's not about the numbers; it's about the killing.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what it's about. Hello.
America became the country we were originally trying to flee from. A country that prosecutes you for who you are. A country that throws everybody in jail, that has, horrible justice systems that's not fair. I mean, everything that we ran from in Europe to create this new country that was supposed to be better. And now we have oligarchs. We have all the horrible stuff that we ran from originally.
Yeah, we came here you're right. We came here to escape religious persecution. And now.
And then what do? We committed mass genocide and we enslaved people.
Yeah, we had concentration camps for the Japanese Americans. They put them in there because they were scared. Mm-hmm. And now this country, for the first time ever, has been put on the quarantine list. You can't go to Europe. Europe's banning all the people from America because of the handling of the pandemic that's going on. And you have people that turn around and they talk about to be safe, not to wear a mask. I understand that they're uncomfortable, but they have false information out there that wearing a mask will get you killed. If that's the case, we should have no doctors. We should have no medical people.
I want to know where these people who, and I posted this on social media, these people who were so anti-mask, I want to know, where did you go and get your medical degree? Was it Harvard? Was it Columbia? Was it UCLA? John Hopkins? The Mayo Clinic?
It's not them getting a medical degree.
Well, they're acting like they have one.
No, I watch these things on the news network and C-SPAN and stuff. You have people that get on and they have no medical background, but yet they tell the doctors, you need to go back to school and learn medical background. Like, really?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
You got a person that spent 8 years in college, 2 years as a residency, and you went to a Wikipedia page and now you know more than they do?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. You have no freaking knowledge, and yet you're acting like, you graduated the Mayo Clinic, top of your class, and in virology and infectious disease. Shut up.
Yeah, and they're going around and they're trying to peer pressure people. A lot of my followers on my other YouTube channel, Vegas Aces, are right-leaning.
Plug.
I know. And I've gotten a lot of pressure for this whole COVID thing. Like, why aren't you going out? Why aren't you meeting people? Why aren't you doing this? What's wrong? Oh, you Chicken Little? Yeah, I'm Chicken Little. Here's me being Chicken Little,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to go out into a movie theater or a mall or, someplace where I might run into someone who's being selfish and not wearing a mask and run the risk of catching this thing and dying. I'm sorry. It's just not worth it to me.
One of the funniest comebacks I've heard. I heard one person, a religious leader, said they should take all the gay people in the world and then put them into a camp. So this way there'd be no more gay people because they can't reproduce. And I was like, really? you listen? Where do you think that they come from? First off,
he forgot about all the bi people.
And then
well, straight people are the ones who make us.
Exactly.
So, hello.
Yeah, exactly.
But the next thing I heard one time is that there was a protest in New York that I listened to, and the guy was yelling at the speaker. I forgot who the speaker was. And he's like, they should round up all you homosexuals and put you on an island somewhere. And the guy yelled back, he goes, they did, sweetheart. And they call it Manhattan.
There you go.
I cried.
Fire Island, even better.
Yeah. But we all need to get along. I mean, it's just simple as that. And these shows with Star Trek, if you're a fan and you watch them, I mean, just don't watch it. I mean, really watch it and understand, is that a bad future to live in? It really isn't.
No.
And that's why we do these episodes. I understand it may not be everyone's cup of tea. I understand we might lose listeners over it, but we need to get you, if we can plant even the smallest seed, and then you can kick back and look at it and see that, yeah.
Well, if we lose listeners, they can suck my extra toe.
Whoa, what? I think Section 31 just kicked in right there. What happened there?
Well, I told you that us gays, we had that extra toe. So,
So we need to do this and if you look, even other interspecies of animals will help each other. They have found that even you had lions that will try to raise a baby antelope, and wouldn't kill it. You have different things. Compassion runs through every species that are there.
They were just fattening it up for dinner later.
And then even had like a dog. They even show there's videos out there and TikTok videos and stuff where they understand, where the person tries to feed a stuffed animal something, and the stuffed animal, well, first they try to give it to the dog won't eat it. Then they give it to the stuffed animal, and the stuffed animal, of course, doesn't eat it. And then the person takes a stick and hits the stuffed animal and then gives it back to the dog, and the dog eats it. So you tell me that doesn't show that there's empathy or compassion that's there. We all need to continue to do that. We're all just the same family, just like when it comes to the labs, we're all the same species. It just happen to be different complexions, different colors, different likes. But together we are powerful. And that's what people are scared of when you talk about, I want to go against government. Well, you do? Then join forces with everyone else. When you have a collective voice, they have to listen.
We're all just a cup of tea, and there's a gazillion different flavors of tea. So
Earl Grey.
Hot.
Decaf.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Earl Grey decaf.
Heather, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
This whole time we're doing the thing, and I'm in my cabin here, and I told you I thought my eggs were moving. I decided to go and eat a little bit on the break, and my eggs are gone. There's a trail from the plate out through the door. I didn't even hear the door, and my eggs are gone. So we have eggs that are running around the corridor somewhere. So I don't know what you did to the replicator, but my eggs are gone.
I broke the replicator. I tried to cook your eggs, and that's why you shouldn't let me in the kitchen.
I'll fix the replicators later.
Yeah, the eggs are gone.
Again.
So
I knew I shouldn't have used those eggs from that one planet.
Wait a minute. They weren't Earth eggs?
No.
No, they were Janai eggs that are born in husks.
Oh, I don't want the Husky eggs. Okay.
Those eggs are so husky, they got up and walked down the corridor.
Don't want all of that. So
there's a shuttlecraft missing.
Right?
I think somebody took a shuttlecraft out.
Oh, great. So the eggs left.
They took our shuttlecraft.
Oh my God,
they're going
Patrick,
into null space.
Patrick, you're going to have to start working on fabricating us another shuttlecraft. We don't have too many of those.
Okay.
We're not going to go rescue the shuttlecraft. We've done the void thing. We're not doing the void thing, the null thing.
No, and plus, if Federation finds out that we lost a shuttlecraft, I'd say that they'd say we have egg on our face.
On our shuttlecraft.
You did not just say that.
I love that.
Yeah, I know.
Was
that was
awesome.
so cheesy. Like cheesy
Cheese
eggs.
goes good with
awesome.
eggs. Cheese goes good with eggs.
Yeah, and we do need another one, because if we get another guest, we're going to have to send one to pick it up like we did David the other day. So we need another one.
We can replicate another one. It'll just take a little time.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
good
put
on
it all
that as soon as
together.
we're done here.
We're getting close towards the end. However, before we get to the end of our wonderful podcast, I want to remind people that next week's homework, and don't duplicate me over here again. You did that last time. Is going to be season 2, episode 8, if memory serves, for Discovery. Okay,
Now,
this is going
next
to be a
week.
good
Next
one.
Saturday is the 4th of July.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
So we'll have an explosive episode.
We'll throw
Yeah.
some fireworks in the background. We'll light up the
Yeah.
phaser array. I'll get the warp drive to flash red and blue and white.
I was thinking about that last night. I mean, is there some episode of Star Trek where they talk about the founding of a country or founding of a species that might be a pertinent topic for the 4th of July?
I'm sure
Yeah.
we could find an episode with lots of explosions.
Yeah, the only thing that comes close to it is when it comes to cons, and that was a TOS episode, though, where they talked about the Constitution, the comms, and the...
Oh, yes.
And
That was a moment.
yeah, but that also was kind of, if you look about, it was kind of bit on the racist side, if you thought about it, because the communists happen to all be Asians, and the Americans all have to be blonde hair, blue eyed. So there was that.
The perfect
So,
Aryan children.
Yeah. So, but for now, unless we find something different, and it'll be put onto the homework, but we're going to be talking about When Memory Serves. And the short is, I'm sure the short everybody's looking forward to, is the first season short. The 4th episode is The Escape Artist, with Harry Mudd is captured by a bounty hunter and taken to a Federation ship. And we get a chance to see a lot of it. And it's kind of a clue in on another episode we see where he's with a bunch of android women. So it's going to be an interesting episode.
Oh, bunch of sex robots.
Oops, say it again. You dropped out a little bit.
Sex robots.
Yeah, you're still
Yes,
dropping out.
I think Section 31 is hammering him because of that extra toe. They're going to probably visit him and find out if it's really true. Oh, you're still there? Or did they kidnap him already?
Nope, I'm here.
They went in his room, kidnapped him.
Can you,
Wow.
They're teleporting him out now. Look out! Watch out for the probe! No, Patrick! Don't leave us!
It's got tentacles.
you guys can't hear me?
Now we can. You got
Okay.
tentacles.
Oh, you're back.
You gotta
Yeah,
be careful.
no
No, you're not back.
There he goes again.
Oh, wow. And he's not.
tentacles. I don't do tentacles.
Wow.
Nope.
Stop downloading whatever you're downloading.
Section 31 has him.
Section 31 is grabbing you, or that toe is interfering with you now.
All of this sex talk, they had to bring Patrick aboard to demonstrate some techniques.
Yeah, well, that would be,
So how'd he go?
He comes back when you say demonstrate techniques. Okay.
How was the ass probe?
I don't do ass probes.
Oh, they're so
was it
much fun. Why not?
Not with tentacles.
Was it tentacles for your pleasure?
Oh, that would have been a better name. One of the Facebook groups, I don't think shared our announcement of the
sure.
podcast because butt probe was in the title.
Oh, well.
Angry
Butt
butt plug. Yes, butt plug.
They didn't like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I kind of giggled at that a little bit.
Maybe if you left the T off, it could have been a play on words. But the probe.
But right? That would have been perfect.
We are Starfleet Underground, so hopefully this episode not only titillated but educated when it comes to equal rights for everybody and everything. You can send us emails. You can send us all kinds of ways to get a hold of us. It'll be on the tag on this episode. Join us on YouTube because we actually have a live review of the show either on Sunday or Monday. Just keep an eye out and you'll be able to join us, and we'll actually have crew members, and most times even myself, as well as Heather and Rocky, will be there to engage with you live. That's like instant gratification if you're looking for that type of thing. So thank you for joining us, and we'll look forward to listening to you and seeing you next week.
Peace and long life.
So make sure, stay safe, wash your hands, keep socially distant until this thing is done. And please, just don't have a great week. Make it so.
Starfleet Underground, beaming into a podcast feed near you. Log on to our website at starfleetunderground.com and send your comments and questions to thecollective@starfleetunderground.com. Follow us on Twitter at StarfleetUnderG and on Facebook and Instagram, we're Starfleet Underground.